It's not a bird, it's not a plane, it's Superhero Slate. It's a modern podcast where we talk about everything that's great, like movies, TV, superheroes. It's Superhero Slate. Oh yeah.
Hello everyone and welcome to Superhero Slate, the show where we run down the latest superhero entertainment news.
We love TV, movies, and superheroes, so let's talk it all out.
My name is Chris Dillard.
And my name is Mike Royer.
And this week, we're looking at the first Toxic Avenger reboot photos, Mike.
Yes, we're going to hope Chris can explain what any of this is to me.
I looked at the thumbnail for this week, and I'm like, Mike doesn't know what he's looking at, and I love this. I could tell right away, so we're going to get into that. In other news for Mike on the side that he does understand, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles' new show unveils a logo and title. Spinoff.
That's the only disfigured, mutated thing I need in my life.
Right,
TMNT, Chris.
We are getting so much ooze all over this podcast today, Mike. Ooze. And DC Studios is moving to the UK, and we'll tell you guys what that means.
Oh, isn't it?
Oh yeah, bloody hell, and more.
Oh, sorry for any
that was
UK
bad. That was bad.
Listeners out there. My wife would be the first one to tell anyone that listens to the show that I am atrocious at accents. I try to slip into one, and then it weaves into the other one. Like I'll start off like doing a really bad Australian accent, and then all of a sudden I'm British, and then I'm German, and I don't know where I am anymore. So yeah, I've never claimed to be good at it.
Man, you're doing great, and I love it. So don't feel too bad about it.
It looks like the podcast did not fall apart last week, Chris,
Yes.
as we went live for our very first time on YouTube.
And we're trying
this
again this
fun.
week. So, cross fingers that this is going well for anyone who isn't watching right now. So that's for sure. No,
yeah, I think we had some like technical audio difficulties last week, but you know what? It's a learning process, and we're always capturing the raw audio on our ends anyway. So we actually capture so much raw audio before we started recording. I totally didn't know that when you upload audio files to a shared Google folder, like those count towards your storage space. So I'm like, why? Well, I thought 200 gigs was going to be enough for like paid storage on Google. Like, where's all this space going? Then I didn't realize all the audio files I've been uploading for like 7 years, going on 8 here, were counting towards my storage space. So I just purged like all of last year into the folder. Oh, it feels like so good. Like file storage, it scratches like the same itch in my brain as just like tidying up like an in real life closet or like your desk or something like that. So it was extremely satisfying. Just like, ooh, yes, goodbye a whole year of audio. And there was a part of me, Chris, though, that was just like, oh, but I could maybe, because this is all my side of the audio, right?
Oh yeah,
I should run all of this through like an AI and make an AI version of myself.
That's right.
And then have all those pure samples. But then with this new version of iOS, like you just read like a couple phrases. Like I don't need years and years and years of examples of my audio to clone myself, which is even creepier, right? You would have think like, oh, maybe like a decade ago, if they were doing any sort of like voice cloning at all, they probably needed a ton of like,
at least at least a T1000, right?
Yes, exactly.
I've seen Terminator 2. But yeah, they figured out the words and phrases you have to say to like cover their entire basis for making a live voice. And the weird thing about the iOS update is once you do that, it takes about 30 minutes, and it goes through, does this rendering, comes back, and you can turn on this accessibility mode and literally just have it read anything you type. And I'm like, oh, I don't have to talk anymore if I don't want to. So this is fun. But
I got to imagine it freaks a lot of people out because, I mean, we're in a position where we're kind of familiar with what our voices sound like, more especially you, Chris, because you
I listen to both of us.
You do the Lord's work of editing the podcast, right? But I got to imagine there's a lot of people out there who just don't know what they sound like, and they're going to put it into this robot, and they'd be like, oh, this sounds like shit. This doesn't sound like me, and not understanding like, oh, no, that is what I sound like.
Well, and the thing is like, so those people who claim they don't have like an inner monologue and they don't know, they don't have that, and then they hear themselves, are probably like even more weirded out by that point. So yeah, absolutely. And thank God to Apple that they buried this, what's it called, like live voice or something like that, or
You gotta dig
it
through the
you gotta
features
dig through
it.
Yeah, it's not something like, oh hey, you updated, do this first. Like you gotta dig in there. So people aren't gonna be like, I guess I wouldn't say they're abusing it, but like they're not gonna, a lot of people aren't gonna be digging out of that one just yet, right? They've got to adjust to all the little changes. But yeah, absolutely. We are live. We're having a good time, and Mike has freed up some Google Drive space, and that's really important in today's age because they keep adding more and more and charging more and more, and they're not making things smaller anymore, Mike. That's a fact. But the other part of this is you've been playing some games, and you're, I would say the game you're about to say, Mike's been playing the Zelda games. We're not going to be here. But Tears of the Kingdom, that is the new one. Is that correct?
Yes. I'm finally kind of catching up to the current day age of games on the Switch.
Yeah. And so tell me about, I've not played this. I didn't play Breath of the Wild. I've not played the Zelda since the gold cartridge original and then the sequel. So tell me more about your Tears of the Kingdom experience as you've kind of gone on through that.
Yeah, so I wouldn't say I'm necessarily a Zelda fanboy, but this does feel very similar to back in the day when they did Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask, right? Because they're using the same game engine, right? And we're kind of getting a similar experience, but different location and different story, at least within Majora's Mask. Tears of the Kingdom, it's been fun playing. I'm still at the very beginning, right? I'm still kind of getting my wings, if you will. Because you're falling from the sky. That's the pun there. They're using the same game engine. They're using the same world technically, but the overworld, has been changed a little bit. Like all of the roads kind of point and go in different directions, but all of the same land masses are roughly in the same spot. But time has passed, villages have updated, so that's been really interesting. But also you can kind of see the game design at work, which is kind of fun in a way, because they're taking story elements and kind of redoing them in a different gameplay way. So in the Breath of the Wild, you had to go around and kind of, because you had amnesia after waking up after 100 years, and you had to regain your memory. So you went around to these different parts of Hyrule, and you would kind of look at like a tree, and all of a sudden your memory would come back, and you'd get a vision of what you were doing with Princess Zelda at this tree 100 years ago. Now they're kind of like these, like, I guess these are the literal tears of the kingdom that have fallen, and you have to find them across the map, and then it gives you an insight of what Zelda is doing. I don't know. I'm still early enough in this game that I don't exactly know what's going on, but it's interesting to see them. They're basically remaking the same game as Breath of the Wild, but trying their best to reinvent everything within like the puzzle piece and the engine that they've built themselves with.
The only thing I know about this game compared to the first one is you build the hell out of whatever you want. Like you literally start, like you learn to like meld pieces together and power it with energy and stuff like that. And that's all I see are just people's creations all over the place on the internet.
And that's been really fun because in Breath of the Wild, you get like these set of like special tools, right? You get the ability to lift things, to make ice, to I'm trying to even remember some of them, to freeze time. And once I got far enough into the game, I really just leaned into the combat, and I never really used a lot of these tools to like fight things in the overworld. But you have a new set of tools in this game. One of them is, like you were saying, you can attach things to things and like build machines and cars and flying things. But one thing I didn't know, that you can attach objects around the world to your weaponry. So I guess the lore that they've built into this game is this new awakening that's happened across Hyrule has basically damaged all of the weaponry. So every time you find a weapon, it's like all rusted and busted and not very strong. So you're supposed to use this special skill that you have to like fuse like rocks to your sword, or you fuse like this ancient technology to like a busted spear, and you make a new weapon. And it's been really, really fun. I'm a lot more comfortable with the combat now since I've played an entire Breath of the Wild up into this one. So I have to say I'm having a lot more fun, but I'm still waiting kind of for the big story reveal moment in a way. Whereas like the first game relied on going and freeing all of these divine beasts, right? And that's how you kind of get to Ganon and defeat him. So now I'm trying to figure out what are the divine beasts of this game. I haven't quite gotten to that point yet. So right now I'm just having fun wandering around, kind of like revisiting like places I haven't been in a long time, even though I played the game a couple weeks ago. So it's been fun. Obviously, I don't have to be here to recommend Tears of the Kingdom. Everybody loved it. But it is fun kind of just seeing the developers make a brand new game out of the exact same scaffolding.
Yeah. And they've had... Breath of the Wild was, I wouldn't say it wasn't a launch game, but it's pretty close to a launch game on the Switch, right? Like it was that, and then now, several years they've been able to maximize that hardware and really take it to the next level within that same system, right? The only thing
literally, not only next level, new levels. You go underground and you go in the sky. There's 3 levels.
They've added a Z-axis to this game, is what I'm hearing, Mike.
Yes.
An X, Y, and now a Z. So that's pretty cool. But yeah, absolutely. I think a lot of people really dig that game. So glad you're having a good time with it. I'm literally counting. We have news about counting down the days to Spider-Man 2 in my head because we are so close.
Getting close, man. Should I pre-order that game? I mean, I don't know, like, if I want it, and I want it day one, so should I download it on my PlayStation? Because I feel like if I go into a game store, the disc, I'm just going to plug it in, and the disc is just going to have me download the game anyway. Right. Like, there won't be any data on the disc. I think I got the first one with my PS4, like, the disc came with it, but I bought Miles on digital, so I think I'm going to do digital with this one as well. It's going to be everyone's going to have this game, right? It's going to be everywhere. So even if you want to pick up a disc copy later for your shelf, if you were one of those people like me, you can probably grab them. But I would definitely get it digitally because this game's not going to be small, Mike. You know this. You're going to need to preload it a week in advance to even, make sure you're ready to go on day one. Because, like we said, they've doubled the map size, right? They've increased the textures. Everything is bigger on this generation. So I would pre-order it, but I mean, you could probably wait till October to pre-order it if you wanted to, because I don't know when that preload date is, but absolutely. So we are just in a great year for video games, and that's good. We need some of those. And also some housekeeping before we begin. We're going to be doing a separate review episode for One Piece after this. So if you're listening live, stick around, and we will be coming back for One Piece afterwards. And if you're not, and you're listening to us in your commute on Monday morning, or whenever you listen to us, whatever, we're going to be doing a separate One Piece review episode for the show because we both finished it and we want to talk about it. So I think that's going to be fun, Mike. That's going to be a good time. We'll be able to dive into that. And honestly, just to be transparent there, the news this week was kind of sucky. It's very light news this week. It's never stopped us before. We've always made long shows or at least a full episode of everything, but we figured we could tack on One Piece to make up for the news that's kind of being hit or miss. But who knows? Things could start exploding here in the next couple weeks when it comes to news because the writer strike is seeming like it could be wrapping up soon. We're recording / live streaming here on Sunday afternoon out here on the West Coast. And all of the reports are saying things are getting close. Things are getting close. I saw just before we hopped on here that it looks like the quote last and final offer has been put down on the table by the studios, but that means nothing. Their last and final offer was also like 4 weeks ago, and look where we're here right now. So I would hope that if this gets done, the actor strike gets wrapped up quickly too, as well, and just we can get back to just talking about all the leaks and news and rumors.
I want real news. I'm tired of all these speculative news articles in this time of well, it's this person's attached to this project or this person's writing this. I'm like, no, they're not. No one has been hired or fired during this entire strike. This is all new. This is all speculation. So let's get on with some actual news so we can look forward and start looking at release dates that are going to change inevitably at the end of the day. But hopefully, again, everything wraps up quickly and fairly. And I think a lot of the actors' concerns are also the same that the writers have. So in terms of AI and stuff like that, likeness stuff. So hopefully they can meet the same thing, right? Have good fairness overall. But let's just jump into the news. The first topic here is something we haven't talked about in a very long time: Man of Steel, the movie that kicked off the DC EU 10 years ago this year. David S. Goyer has been out doing interviews. I don't know. He must have a new project going on because I saw a bunch of articles about things him talking about Blade and Man of Steel and all the Nick Fury movie he wrote in the late 90s for Fox or early 2000 for Fox. that they inevitably rewrote. He's been out doing something. But David Goyer, who was the writer of Man of Steel, reveals that they met with Tony Scott, director of Top Gun and other movies, about directing, and he was one of the 2 finalists with Zack Snyder in that time frame. I think a Tony Scott Man of Steel movie would have been an entirely different movie than what we saw on the screen.
It is really wild to think about, because every movie kind of has the second place director that almost made it, and you think about like, oh, that could have been a different movie, right? Like, imagine if Ant-Man actually was fully directed by Edgar Wright. It could have changed the MCU, like, but probably not as wholly as a different director than Zack Snyder kicking off Man of Steel. Like, if Zack Snyder wasn't on Man of Steel, the last 10 years of DC would have been 100% different factually, right? So it is pretty wild that there was that inflection moment. Tony Scott, obviously he passed away in 2012. Probably would have made, when at the end of the day, would have made the movie, right? With that being in there, but there is no other, very few directors how about this have cult followings like Zack Snyder, right? Like, people who are just annoy the fuck out of you to no extent. So I think we might have had a much, I wouldn't say quieter, but a less, maybe it's not offensive. What's the word I'm looking for here? In your face.
Yeah, we're not getting people spending money to release the Snyder Cut airplanes over Comic-Con, right? So it would have been entirely different beast. But we always joke about David Goyer being is he good or is he not good, right? Like, we always like, where does this guy really fall on the spectrum? He's got so many hits and misses. Like, how do you rank this guy as someone in the comic book industry? I feel the stuff I've seen him do, I'm like, if I had been, jumped right out of school and went into writing in Hollywood, I could have been doing what he's doing. But boy, I just, I don't know where he falls, man. Like, right? Like, do you have any, I guess, feelings on David Goyer just whenever we say the name out loud, really?
It is like, I feel like I simultaneously hate and love his superhero movies at the same time. It's like, what do you even do? It really makes me want to reserve any sort of harsh judgment. I feel like if I met the person, right, if I met them and they were really, really nice, I'd probably give them the benefit of the doubt on everything, just because I'm just like that. But if I met them and they're like a dick to me, I'd be like, oh no, those Batman movies were flukes.
right. Right. He starts, Blade 1, good. Blade 2, good. Blade 3, ooh, not so good. He also directed that one, and I believe he says that Blade Trinity is like the worst experience he's ever had in his life. And then people may or may not know the stories of Wesley Snipes literally refusing to do anything with the director, David Goyer. He wouldn't even open his eyes for a scene, so that's why they had to CG his eyes on a table whenever he opened them up. Have you ever seen that scene? Whenever the CGI eyes?
No, I didn't know.
Yeah, all. like it's everyone, even Patton Oswalt's in that movie, and everyone's like, it was awful. Like, Wesley Snipes was like a diva the entire time. So yeah, and then he goes and does Batman Begins and does the story for The Dark Knight, Mike. And then he's like, you know what? I love doing this so much. I'm gonna go write Ghost Rider: Spirit of Vengeance, which I think is actually the better of the two Ghost Riders. Provided the story for The Dark Knight Rises, and then wrote Man of Steel, Batman v Superman, and more recently, something we talked about last year, Hellraiser, the newest Hellraiser. He was a writer on, and we kind of came in the middle on that. We're like, yes, fine. It's like it was all right.
Chris,
yeah,
I found the CGI eyes.
Oh right, yeah, right.
I had to Google it. Oh my god,
it's bad.
I suppose if you were in the movie watching it and you were half glancing at the screen eating your popcorn, right, you might not have noticed it, but this still frame, it's just like, it's like when in those kind of like medieval kind of Celtic movies, when somebody dies, they like paint eyes on a stone and they put those stone over their eyes in like a ritual burial.
Oh yeah. It's like
that's what this feels like.
Yeah. So and it's a movie not even Ryan Reynolds could save, Mike, at that point in time. But I was always bringing up, like, this guy has got he is all over the place on stuff, and I don't really. Yeah, maybe it's just his mood. Maybe it's the producers, the feedback, whatever. He's getting work. I can't complain. He's getting work writing superhero movies, and we're not. But
I just found the clip. Of him opening his eyes.
Yeah.
And like, it looks like a pair of eyes behind a painting where the eye holes are cut out. Like, I don't know why I was expecting for 2004 to have fully like CGI eyes, and maybe that's what this is, like, you know, a 3D model with, you know, with eyelids like rigged, but this just looks like After Effects put a mask around the eyes, feather the edge, and then open the eyes.
Oh yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, and so he didn't want to open his eyes because he was mad at David Goyer, the director / writer, producer of the movie.
Wow.
So, yeah.
Hilarious.
Anyway, let's talk about the current state of DC Studios, right? The James Gunn, Peter Safran, presidents of the studios moving forward. Apparently, Leavesden in the UK, a studio, will get space added to become the primary product hub for DC projects. And go on.
I don't know if it's the exact same hub or location where they do a lot of the Star Wars filming, but I mean, that's another iconic kind of like franchise IP that they're doing over there in the UK.
It's not Star Wars because this is all owned by Warner Brothers, but the UK does have several studios. This is right next to I think they did a lot of Harry Potter here when it was filming, and right now Game of Thrones, the dragon one, whatever it's called, is filming there currently.
Oh, House of the Dragon.
House of the Dragon season 2, yes, is filming there. So, yeah, absolutely, they're very much, you know, a huge thing. Boy, what is the name of that studio over there for Star Wars? Now you've got me thinking about it, and I don't remember what it is.
Yeah, it makes me wonder, like, I feel like moves like this in Hollywood never happen out of like creative necessity, right? You know, you could try to like pin this down to like geography, right? Like, whoa, is there like sets or locations over there that they're closer to that they'd like to film at, but then you know that they're just going to be in some sort of like volume or green screen room for a large portion of the movie anyway. So I don't think proximity has anything to do with it. It just really feels like there's a tax break over there that they're getting to move this entire production.
Looking at it right now, they have at least currently 79 acres backlot. So with exteriors, and then a 540,000 square foot of indoor space that they're doubling. So they're gonna have about 1 million square foot of indoor space and all this outdoor space. I don't know. Are the actors that have hired for this, are they British? Like, does it make it easier as well? I don't know. But you're right. And it's Pinewood. Pinewood is the Star Wars one.
Yeah, that's right.
But yeah,
maybe it's I mean, there could be a portion of it where, you know, maybe Atlanta and Georgia is just all full up. Like, they've been giving out the best tax breaks, you know, for like well over a decade. It's got to be at least like 20 years now. And hey, we're just out of room, you know, get out of here, find someplace else.
Yeah, and I'm actually looking this up. Not just Warner Brothers things here. Spider-Man: Far From Home filmed here as well. Barbie filmed there as well. So Fast 10, The Flash, Mission Impossible this year. Yeah, they've done a lot of movies over there. So to me, again, you know, you mentioned it's going to be green screen. I feel, you know, James Gunn from his work on Guardians, he does have CG, but he relies a lot on real effects, right? And you can see that in Guardians 3 with the all the aliens and you know, even the villain. So like I feel like he might, you know, like, hey, if we're gonna do it, we need to do it with real stuff. But yeah, I'm sure there's like financial reasons why to do it there, right? Like, so we'll probably hear some more as they kind of work into some productions when they kick back off after the strikes are over. So pretty excited for that. Let's shift some gears back into Marvel. We have some Marvel topics. Loki, in case people didn't know, is taking the Ahsoka approach, where Ahsoka is debuting Tuesday nights at 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific. Loki will now be doing Thursday nights at 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific, starting October 5th on Disney Plus, Mike.
Hey, so now we don't have to worry about spoilers.
Waking up to spoilers, yeah. You're right, yeah. It kind of sucked to do the midnight release. I enjoy this, actually. It kind of makes the evening fairly well. You know, it's like, you know, we stay up, we'll watch it and go to bed, and that's great. And you know, for you guys, I was like, well, how does that work for 6 p.m.? Well, you probably aren't on the internet as much for like 2 hours before you watch it. So
you just watch it while you're eating dinner.
Yeah,
that's how it works out here on the West Coast.
So,
but if anyone out there is too young to remember, Thursday nights used to be the time to watch television, right? Must see TV Thursdays on cable television. Yeah. If anybody has any idea what I'm talking about,
we didn't have cable. We had over the air, but I remember TGIF, right? You know, that was Friday nights, not Friday at midnight in the morning. And we always had our family always had the Sunday ritual. Was the animation domination on Fox. We'd always sit down and watch that stuff. But yeah, very, very excited to have another show not be something I have to avoid for, you know, possibly 12 hours after I wake up to see spoilers. So get ready for that next month. And Marvel, the other show that was supposed to come out this year, which has been delayed to January's Echo. And the rumor is that in this time they've cut the series to 5 one-hour episodes to try new pacing. Like, are 5 episodes better? You know, if we take these 6 episodes and just cut them into 5, is that better? Kind of thing, rather than doing the 6 half-hour, 40-minute episodes, if you will.
Man, this show is going to be such a tough marketing sell, right? Like, nobody is really super familiar with the character. I don't really see a whole lot of
how much
people making memes out of the Hawkeye TV show. It seems like it was briefly in the zeitgeist when it was airing, and now it's nobody really talks about it really at all. Well,
this is obviously one of the that Bob Chapek demands, right? Like, we need content, pick a character, make a show, kind of thing. And a bunch of that came out of this, but how much of that marketing do you think is going to rely on Kingpin and Daredevil, like being all over it? Like, this is going to be the bridge to that, and that's all they're going to use it for at the end of the day.
It's gonna be like Thor Ragnarok when they leaned into the Hulk in a lot of the marketing material. I gotta imagine that's what's going on there. And I mean, a binge model, I mean, this is an interesting experiment because this is maybe what's necessary, right? Like I've said a million times on this show, if you have talented people involved in your project, it doesn't matter what character or IP you're developing. Like, if it's good, it's good, right? The problem is getting people interested and invested in it. So maybe this is the strategy. If you have a character that, you know, is not really going to draw a lot of people to your streaming service, release it all at once. Maybe people binge it all in one weekend, like I guess a 5-hour setting, which is like 2 Martin Scorsese movies, or a Martin Scorsese movie and a half, depending. I think the Killers of the Flower Moon, is that what it's called?
1.5 Oppenheimers. How about that? We'll
exactly. But so if the series is really, really good, people could binge it over the weekend, head to social media and be like, wow, I'm surprised to say this, but Echo was an amazing binge. You got to go watch it and check it out.
One of the other things is, you know, obviously they're trying to reduce costs on all these shows, right? One of the things you have to reduce costs on is marketing. And if you have a weekly show, guess what? You have a weekly marketing budget that you have to do, right? And everything's weekly. You have to create it weekly. Well, with the binge model, you just do it all at once. You do a before and an after, and that's it. And you know, we'll talk about that a little bit, I think, with One Piece later. They didn't have to do weekly marketing with One Piece. So maybe Echo, maybe they have something they want to try with this. Again, a binge release doesn't mean it's bad, right? Again, that's what Netflix does for most of its shows still. They'll do like 2-parters, but like it's not been done on Disney Plus. I'm excited to kind of see if it does pay off to just watch it all and not have to come back week after week and feel like you're being sometimes dragged over hot coals depending on what the show is. So, that'll come out in January. We'll be talking about it more next year when that hits. The other thing coming out next year, hopefully, if it's still on track, is Deadpool 3. And Sean Levy, who was the director, says the sequel pays respects to Fox's Marvel history. And people are taking that to allude that maybe it's a proper send-off for the Fox universe. Like, again, we've heard rumors. How many cameos have we mentioned over the past year, Mike? Everyone's on the table if you've been in a Fox property that was a Marvel show or a movie. So, honestly, could be anything, but we did see the on-set photos showing the Fox 20th Century Fox logo crumbled at that place where he was fighting Deadpool. So, I don't know what to make of it, but it sounds like they've got a plan, right? And we're just gonna be sitting in rumor land until we get a trailer.
Yeah, it makes me think this kind of gives me more of like a pivot of they're going to be leaning more, like you said, into these kind of more historic X-Men properties and maybe less into let's try to transition Deadpool into the MCU proper, right? Let's put Deadpool in a scene with Chris Evans. Let's put Deadpool in a scene with Loki or whatever. I mean, all that stuff would be cool, and maybe we could still possibly see something to that magnitude in this movie. But yeah, it seems like now they're like, no, since the Fox X-Men franchise is kind of officially dead in the water, because I feel like when Deadpool 2 came out, there were still kind of like, maybe we can get this going, maybe we can reignite it again, maybe we can reboot it. New Mutants hadn't come out yet, right?
I think Dark Phoenix wasn't even out by that point either.
Yeah, so there's still possibility and hope, but now since it's all dead, they're just like, oh yeah, bring it all out of the closet. I hope that I think one of the smartest things that they could do is get James Marsden for sure, because he has only gotten exponentially more famous since playing the role of Cyclops. So that feels like a no-brainer.
And he looks the same after all these years. He doesn't
and also
age.
Like who doesn't love James Marsden? That guy's great. So bring him back. Like I think Jean Grey would be possibly a good idea. Maybe Logan could kind of have some a send off there. I mean, Professor X, I feel like that's the big question mark, right? I feel like he's been cameoing in everything recently.
Yeah, he got his Doctor Strange cameo in his real wheelchair. There's that. There's obviously not just X-Men, but Fantastic Four, the Ghost Rider, Daredevil, Elektra stuff we've talked about. So honestly, it sounds like they're possibly trying to send them off. And we've talked about the rumor that they're trying to gather people from these different worlds to create a team for the incursions. But I don't know. I want to see a trailer. Like, one of the things, I want to see everything in action, because we've seen the set photos, we've seen the costumes, we know they're having a good time. Let's get on with it. Let's see it in motion. But I know they're still working on that.
Just pitching an idea here, but wasn't there the other week, weren't we talking about there was going to be some sort of like high level character out in the world trying to like get Deadpool or court Deadpool to fix the universe?
Well, that's what I just said. That there wasn't a character. It was like the they were trying to recruit people. I think maybe it wasn't the Beyonders.
Oh, maybe it was just or somebody, maybe the TVA at large or something.
Yeah,
like
the
that.
TVA. That's what it was. Yeah.
Maybe instead of the TVA trying to get Deadpool to save the universe, maybe the TVA is rounding up all of these old X-Men franchise people to kill Deadpool, because Deadpool's messing everything up. So maybe Deadpool's gonna have to fight all of these people off, and maybe that'll kind of fulfill one of his more iconic comic book stories of Deadpool kills the Marvel Universe, where Deadpool fights back against them all.
Well, maybe you take it the other way, where he has that time thinking he has been messing everything up, but TVA catches him. He's like, all right, to fix this, you need to go destroy these other universes before they collide with other ones. So you're going to save lives by killing the universes. But it doesn't really put the one scene, the quarry scene we've seen with all the debris around it, right, in there yet. But I think there's plenty of opportunity. Obviously Ryan Reynolds is having the time of his life with this character that was never supposed to happen, or at least when it happened, it was Wolverine Origins. So he's got a really good comeback as this character, and getting Hugh Jackman in together. We've always dreamed of it. He always teased it, and I can't believe those madmen over there. They got it done, Mike. They got it done for us. So right now, this is come out in May next year. Hopefully things get tightened up again quickly and fairly with the Actors Guild, and we can start filming and getting some of this going. So knock on wood. As I mentioned at the top show, Spider-Man 2 the game has gone gold, and do you know what that means, Mike? I found a lot of people didn't know what this phrase means.
I don't know what it means.
They've essentially printed a gold master disc. This is the disc that they will make all the pressings from, the copies that go out into the wild.
Or like the so it's not like it's gone platinum or something with pre-orders.
Yeah. So gold, they've essentially made it's referred to the gold master. This is the master that will be pressed on everyone's copies that buys the physical disc. So that means they are on track. If that's out in the wild, that means they are on track to make that release date, Mike, of 10/20.
I mean, I'm pretty shocked. I mean, you might have a better memory than me, Chris, of kind of keeping track of the history of development of Spider-Man 2, but did we get any real delays for the production of this game? It seems like they were very on schedule.
They did not give us a release date till this year, is why. They were
That's
like,
how you do it. That's how you do it, folks.
And that's what they did. There was at some point, I think that and because it's the Sony owns the studio, that and Thor Ragnarok, not Thor Ragnarok, God of War Ragnarok, they met their release dates because they didn't give us a release date till it was on time. And I believe the first time they showed God of War footage, there was so much of like, just a bunch of people just being nasty, negative online. The guy who runs the studio was like, all right, fine, we're not releasing anything else until the month it comes out. And they kept to that, which was great. So it's great to see these studios, again, get the time they need, the support they need, and be able to kind of do what they want to make sure the best foot for a game is put forward, rather than people being able to tear it apart 3-4 years in advance. The other thing about this, people who played a demo, they recently did like I think a 20-minute demo for people, publishers and reviewers, that will have the ability to turn on fall damage for Spider-Man.
Oh shit!
And I'm like, well, that's interesting. I
mean, that could be like a fun challenge. I mean, listen, after I finished Elden Ring, I just wanted to watch Elden Ring content on YouTube. That's all I wanted, and I want to see people do dumb challenges like beat the game without jumping. You wanted to see
let me solar her the whole time, right?
beat the game with just a stick, or a bow only run. So this could be like a fun way of like maybe kind of like the grounded mode in The Last of Us, where like play without taking fall damage, which could be really hard.
Yeah, well, and I think there's obviously they have trophies, right, on PlayStation. They could have some trophies for this. To me, the fall damage, I think I've maybe fallen off a building and landed on the ground like a couple times in the original one, but I just love swinging so much in that game from buildings. Like, I usually don't have to worry about that. And with the wingsuit, you probably have another option right before you hit the ground. So it's fun they have the option to turn it on if you want a more, I guess, quote unquote, realistic mode, but I don't think it's something people are going to flock to turn on right away. But oh well, we'll figure it out. I'm excited. This game comes out 10/20, the same day this new Super Mario Wonder game comes out for Switch. I think I told you that the other day too. So guess what? There were no delays on that game, Mike, because they didn't announce it until like 2 months ago. So those people in Japan, they have it down. They know what to do over there with when they announce their stuff. So kudos to them. But also in the same vein as Spider-Man, Ultimate Spider-Man. We don't talk about this very often, but knowing that they are potentially rebooting the universe, Ultimate Spider-Man has also been a huge thing for comic books in the past 20 years, but a new Ultimate Spider-Man comic series has been revealed with one of my favorite writers, Jonathan Hickman, to write it in January. So a lot of his previous Avengers work led to the Infinity War in-game characters and the story arc. So this means that possibly in several years we may be seeing some of his Ultimate Spider-Man work make its way over to the MCU.
Could you give me like just a really, really quick update on what exactly is going on over with the Ultimate Universe?
Yeah, absolutely.
The last I checked in, the Ultimate Universe had kind of folded into the main Marvel universe, or at least they conjoined, just like all universes do in comic books. They like to branch off, then eventually bring it all back together to sell you a new #1 of Avengers or a #1 of Spider-Man. So I thought the Ultimate Universe was done.
Yes.
So it seems like it's coming back to life.
So in Jonathan Hickman's Secret Wars, which is basing the upcoming movies on, the Ultimate Universe and the regular Marvel Universe that had an incursion where they had to fight to see who would win. It was the last incursion. They were in the last two universes and became up with Battle World later. So yes, the Ultimate Universe existed as a little pocket in Secret Battle World until everything was that ended and everything merged into one universe. Only two people from the Ultimate Universe made the transition over. Miles Morales, who was created and made his debut in the Ultimate comic books, and the Maker, which is your evil version of Reed Richards, Mike, which I know you bring that up quite a bit when we talk about Fantastic Four.
Yeah.
So those two are the only two people who made it over to this universe. In the new comic book series out right now called Ultimate Invasion, the Maker has decided he's going to go create a new universe or take over another multiverse and make it his new home, his own Ultimate Universe, if you will. So he's gone over there and has been manipulating this universe to his liking, leading to some, yes, Ultimate iterations of characters and some new versions of those. But there's one issue left, and with the ending, my guess is it's going to kick off into this new Ultimate Universe, if you will. from the maker, and he did ask Miles to come with him, but Miles said no. So I don't know what's going to happen or how this is Ultimate Spider-Man again, but I'm excited to know that someone who has been very influential in Marvel comic books and the movies stuff is going to be kind of taking over with that and giving us a new one, if you will. Did I answer your question?
No, that did it.
Okay.
It's actually exciting. I feel like I don't read a whole lot of comic books anymore like I did back in college, but it's always fun finding like YouTube videos or like TikTok accounts that like recap comic book stories or arcs that are like newer out into the world, because it's kind of like that same itch that I scratch when I watch like recap videos on YouTube for TV shows. It's like, oh, I get to speed run all these comics and I don't have to sit down and actually read them. Yeah, so that's what I just have you do for me on the show.
Exactly. And you know me, Mike, my comic book weakness is the Ultimate Universe, and I own all the issues, and I've been picking up this new ones, so I'm very excited to do this. I have heard rumors, and flag these as rumors, that there will be a new Ultimates comic series spinning out of this as well, and an Ultimate Black Panther, and I believe another, maybe Ultimate X-Men, or Fantastic Four, one of the two, another team book, if you will, coming out of this. So if you're into Ultimate stuff and you're looking to pick up some number ones, as Mike said, starting over, next year seems to be the year to possibly be doing that. And now we're back into things that started off as comic books, Mike, to transition, but now are way more than comic books, and that's the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. And Paramount Plus threw an ad up this week, and it shows the logo of Tales of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Mike, the spinoff / continuation of Mutant Mayhem.
And that is where the lion's share of all Turtles IP has always existed, is on your small screen, your television.
That and your toy shelf.
Yes, exactly. So, and I've been trying to find like really high quality like figures of these Mutant Mayhem Turtles, and like there's some like nicer ish ones, kind of like how Marvel has like the Marvel like Legends action figures, right? It's like they look better than a normal figure, but it's not quite like a hot toy or a sideshow collectible. So if there's ever like a sideshow collectible of like these Mutant Mayhem Turtles, I'm very curious.
You were down for that, huh?
Yes, but I wonder what the interpretation is supposed to look like on the small screen. Are they going to be using the same like 3D models? Or
I will tell you, looking at the logo, it gives me a flat feel, if you will. It's not even the same fonts as Mutant Mayhem, and I was like, it is Mutant Mayhem. Are they just taking the voice actors and the world and doing it in a different art style, you think, to make it cheaper, more quicker to produce for television at the end of the day?
I mean, potential spoilers here for Mutant Mayhem, so if you haven't watched it yet, go watch it. It's great. It's streaming on Paramount Plus, so I don't think there's anything stopping you from really getting out there and watching it. But after the end of the movie, these turtles are moving on to a new chapter of their life, and they're like out in the human world, like going to school. So I would imagine if like I was pitching a TV show for these turtles, that won't necessarily encroach on the sequel of the movie. Like you just show their like adventures in high school, right? Like what's the mischief that they're getting up to? How are they like adapting to like life in school? That kind of seems like what you do there.
To completely spin that in another direction, I feel like the tales of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles would be possibly stories they tell each other or tell other students, and they like kind of like flashbacks, and like how they did some of the artwork in the movie, like, hey, this is how we Michelangelo views things, kind of thing. So it could be that if they really want to do that, but hopefully it is a continuation, a bridge between the two movies.
The big question here is how many episodes do they make? Because I feel like if anyone's familiar out there with like Turtles, even when they only get a couple of seasons right before like the audience ages out of it and they got to reboot it all over again, like they always put up numbers, right?
Like
I feel
52,
like
usually a total 52 or so.
Yeah, but if this is going to be like possibly streaming only, I mean, we're not entirely sure, but if it's Paramount Plus, it sounds like it is. Maybe it's only like 8 episodes, so maybe it is a little bit more like boutique-y, They're not really just going to like crank them out. They'll be like, maybe like 6 or 8 until, the tide you over until the
I'm going to probably be honest and say we're probably way off base, and this is probably like maybe like one of those more shows aimed at kids than we think it is. like, you know, like as you mentioned, aged out. Like maybe these are like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles shorts for Paramount Plus, and like maybe they're 5 to 10 minutes, and they do a bunch of them. So I just don't know. We have nothing to look on other than this logo, which is in our show notes, by the way. And I wish we had more about this because it's exciting, because Mutant Mayhem was so good and so refreshing, and you know, obviously it just really brought everything together so well that we haven't had something this quality Turtles in a long time. That, you know, you're excited, I'm excited. I hope they continue it, right? That's what I want them to do, and ride that boat. And guess what? They didn't have crunch time on that movie, Mike, unlike Spider-Verse, because, you know, Spider-Verse is a great movie. Everyone who worked on it did an amazing job, but you don't have to like run your employees to death to make a good movie. And Turtles prove that at the end of the day. So, not gonna. We'll keep everybody posted, especially you, Mike. We're gonna be putting this in here for you. You know I will. Please. Now let's get into our last bit of news here. Our last topic is the Toxic Avenger. And have you ever seen the Toxic Avenger movies from the 80s, Mike?
Absolutely not. The only thing I really know about the Toxic Avenger is it was a gross neon-colored like action figure that I would like see in comic book shops or like Spencer's Collectibles, like next to like the differently grotesque Spawn figures, right? So it always just kind of felt like an edgy thing that I was just too young to understand or appreciate. And even if you are looking up the Toxic Avenger on Google image search, and you don't have Google image search like, you know, set to like not safe mode or whatever it's called, it will filter out some of the more just up close shots of the Toxic Avenger. And I'm not even talking about like a part of the movie where like there's blood flying everywhere, there's pus or goo or anything like that. It's just his face. It's just grotesque, his pre-molded like silicone face that they made for the actor, right? Google will straight up not show you that because they're looking at it with all of their software and algorithm like, we can't show this to children's eyes. Yeah. So I do know, Chris, on the thumbnail for this episode that I put Elijah Wood's face next to the Toxic Avenger. Now I know Elijah Wood's character is not supposed to be the Toxic Avenger, so I did at least a modicum of research. Not a lot.
So the Toxic Avenger and sequels and anime show were made by Troma Studios. And you may or may not know Troma. They are essentially a B-list studio that makes pretty gross movies, but they're not in the major wheelhouse of Hollywood, right? They'll do movies and they'll do B-list stuff, 80s, 90s. But this is essentially the, I guess, studio that birthed James Gunn as we know him, and that's why we kind of bring this into this. And they are doing a remake, I guess, or maybe a continuation. They're really unclear if this is a retelling or a remake of Toxic Avenger, and starring Peter Dinklage as the Toxic Avenger. Mike, also lovingly known as Toxie in his animated TV show, The Toxic Avengers, that came out later.
Of course there's an animated TV show. This is like RoboCop all over again. It's like, let's take something very adult and make it for kids on TV.
I am 100% sure I had, or at least has seen, remember growing up, toys for the Toxic Avengers.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that is what my nostalgia is tied to. Like, if you just search, like, Toxic Avengers, like, toys.
And I'm going to be honest.
They're so weird.
You put these on a shelf next to Turtles toys from the 90s.
Exactly.
Pretty close.
You are exactly right. I think whenever I saw a Toxic Avenger toy, I was just like, is there like an episode of TMNT that I've been missing? Because all of these characters, I've never seen.
They've been
them
covered in ooze, and they have some sort of weird, quirky ability that we're just not used to. But yeah, so absolutely, that's what I'm used to. Obviously a very misfigured person who is very, I guess, big and powerful. Now, obviously, you cast Peter Dinklage in this, you're going to probably end up with a different Toxic Avenger at the end of this. But from the EW article that we have linked in here, one of the biggest talking points is not Peter Dinklage as the Toxic Avenger, because they never show him. They have not given us to him yet, other than a shadow glimpse. But it is, in fact, Elijah Wood doing his best modern Danny DeVito penguin that you could definitely do. And that's what everyone's calling it. Like, he looks like the penguin, or he looks like Gollum or Frodo if he never gave up the ring and turned into a Gollum at the end of this.
There's like a bit in the article where Elijah Wood was saying that he wanted to do one of the things that actors do best, which is you disappear into the role. So when you're watching the movie, you don't think, oh, I'm looking at Frodo the whole time, or I'm looking at Elijah Wood. It's just like, no, I'm just looking at this character.
And he also likens it a little bit to the character Riff Raff from Rocky Horror Picture Show. And I can kind of see that with the haircut, hairstyle. But yeah, there's that. We get Kevin Bacon, I believe, as a millionaire money bag, villain in this. As you can kind of scroll down, you'll see him like with some sort of vial of goo, like that is obviously supposed to be evil. But the reason I bring this up is, this is a very, very interesting movie with a lot of very big names, and I don't know what to even think about it. Is this something I want to watch? Is this something you want to watch? Is it curiosity that's going to make me want to watch this more than anything else?
That's definitely what it is. And this kind of feels like, is this going to kind of be possibly like a sister like movie night to the new Spawn movie that's supposed to be coming out soon, where it's like kind of like a new kind of take on telling a Spawn story, where you tell it a little bit smaller. So maybe, I don't know, this is kind of like the vibe.
Well, Spawn is the what's his name, McFarlane came out last week and said his script's not done and he's not writing it during the thing, so we probably won't get to see Spawn, but like
gotta wait a little bit longer.
Obviously this is pretty much it's coming to the Austin's Fantastic Fest, which I think which was already out this week, so people have already seen this. But I'm excited to see this. Is this coming to streaming? I don't know. Is this a streaming movie based on what it looks like?
This has Netflix written all over it, in a sense of it doesn't seem like it's tied to a big streamer already, and that's usually when Netflix swoops in and picks it up, because it's already not a Warner Brothers property, or it's not a Universal Comcast. So I wouldn't be surprised if you see this on Netflix. Yeah,
I'm trying to look up. There is. I'm pulling up the Wikipedia page here to kind of see. But I'm not really, it's released at Fantastic Fest. I don't see it anywhere else. So maybe they're hoping to get someone to grab it, right? Like, maybe like, hey, we debuted at Fest. Someone will pick it up and stream it for us. But I want to see this out of curiosity, simply because I remember the Toxic Avenger toys from a child, maybe not so much the movies. But I am very interested to see what they do with this and this cast at the end of the day, right? So, everyone take a look at this EW article and just look at this, and then go look up Toxic Avenger on Google, like Mike said. The character, the person, the toys. He's got his iconic headband and his mop. Like, that is what I've always seen, and we kind of see like in the shadow, the last image here on EW. The nuclear green glowing mop, it looks like, right at the end of it. So very, very excited to just see what this is about. I don't even know. But that's the news for this week, Mike. We actually are going to hop off here, reset, and then do a One Piece review episode. So if you've seen One Piece, we invite you to come listen to that. If not, watch it and then come review it with us. Or if you're really don't want to watch it, just want to listen to us talk about, hop in. We'd be more than happy to. But we're gonna go do that. But if people know what you're up to, what you're doing, where can they find you at, Mike?
Well, they can find me at Mike Royer Design on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok, and you can read my webcomic at liferewardsrisk.com. Chris, if people want to catch up with you, where can they find you?
You can find me on Instagram, Valdan, VALDAN. Those follow on 87 on there, VLADN 87, or Video Game Systems of that same name on there, or come back every week, or sometimes twice a week, where we do this our superhero news show. But if people want to figure out where they can listen to it, where can they get all the goodies at?
If you want to find out where all of our toxicity and our Toxic Avengers...
it's a System of a Down song? We're doing System of a Down songs now?
It's all over at superheroslate.com. You can find us on Apple Podcasts, YouTube, Spotify, wherever else you love to listen to fine podcasts. Like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter and Instagram, and get merch at superheroslate.com/store. Man, I really need to update the last bit of the sign-off. It's aging like milk at this point in time.
I think I pulled from an older episode because of the review, so I apologize.
No, I think it is just the sign of the times, where it's just like, who uses Facebook anymore? It's not even called Twitter, even though I want it to be called Twitter.
We're a podcast. We don't care. You can find us on socials, but we know you're listening in your car.
Just subscribe. That's all you need. That's all you need.
Mm-hmm. And super fans. We need super fans.
Yeah, and if you want to be a super fan of Superhero Slate, all you got to do is share the show with a friend, share the show with a buddy, and we'll be here every week, folks.
That's right. We'll see you guys next week.
Bye.
Thanks for listening, and don't forget to subscribe.